Right now, as you watch this video, there's a window of time tomorrow morning that could change everything. Not next week, not when you feel sick. Tomorrow morning in the first 30 seconds after your eyes open. And the scariest part is that you probably have no idea what's happening inside your chest during those 30 seconds. Most people don't. Your doctor hasn't told you, and you're definitely not thinking about it when your alarm goes off. I'm a cardiologist, and I've spent the last 15 years trying to understand why so many people who feel completely fine, who are doing everything right, suddenly collapse. And every time I trace the timeline backward, it points to the same thing. Not what they ate, not whether they exercised, not their cholesterol numbers from their last checkup. It points to what they did in the first 30 seconds of the morning. If you care about your heart, hit like right now. If you've ever felt dizzy or weird when you first wake up, subscribe and turn on notifications. That dizzy feeling is your body screaming something important, and I'm going to tell you what it's screaming. Share this video with anyone over 55 in your life because this information is not in their annual physical. Let me tell you why this matters. Research from Harvard Medical School tracked when fatal heart attacks actually happen, not when they're diagnosed, when they actually occur. The findings are staggering. Heart attacks are 3 times more likely to happen in the first 3 hours after you wake up than at any other time of day. 3 times. That's not a small number. That's not a coincidence. That's a biological reality that your body is screaming at you every single morning, and you're probably ignoring it without even knowing it. Here's the part that wakes cardiologists up in the middle of the night. The people this affects most are the people who think they're doing everything right. They take their medications, they exercise, they've quit smoking, their last stress test looked good, their cholesterol is controlled, and then one ordinary Tuesday morning, their heart simply stops cooperating. Why? Because nobody ever taught them what happens inside their body in those critical first moments of the day. Your heart works without stopping. Right now, as you read this, it's been beating for decades without a single break. Not one day off, not 1 hour of rest. But when you sleep, your heart finally gets something close to true recovery. Your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows, your stress hormones plummet, your blood vessels relax, everything is calm, everything is resting, and then something changes. Your brain wakes up, and what happens next is a biological cascade that most people accelerate instead of manage. The moment consciousness starts returning to your brain, something called your circadian rhythm kicks into high gear. Scientists call it the cortisol awakening response, and it's one of the most powerful hormonal events your body produces in any 24-hour period. Cortisol floods your bloodstream, but that's just the beginning. Your adrenal glands simultaneously release adrenaline. These aren't small amounts. Research shows cortisol spikes 50%, sometimes 75%, within just 30 to 45 minutes of opening your eyes. Your adrenaline is spiking at the same time. Your heart rate is rising. Your blood pressure is climbing. Your blood vessels are constricting. Your whole system is waking up aggressively because it thinks you're about to run from a predator or chase down prey. In a young person, this works fine. Their arteries are flexible, they bounce back, they absorb pressure changes easily. But after 60, something changes. Your arteries become stiffer. The elastic tissue that lets them expand and contract degrades naturally over the decades. A pressure surge that barely registered when you were 40 now creates a genuine spike in your cardiovascular system. But wait, there's more happening at the same time. Your blood is different in the morning than it was when you fell asleep. Over 6 to 8 hours without any water, your body is measurably dehydrated. Your blood is thicker, your blood plasma volume is reduced. The proteins responsible for clotting are at their highest concentration of the entire 24-hour day. One study found that PAI-1, the protein that prevents your body from breaking down clots, peaks at approximately 6:30 in the morning, right at the start of the highest risk cardiac window. Your blood is more viscous. Your clotting factors are elevated. Everything about your blood chemistry in the morning is optimized for clot formation. And then there's the third piece that almost nobody talks about. Over decades, many people develop plaque in their arterial walls. Not enough to cause symptoms, not enough to show up on a standard EKG, not enough to even make them feel anything, but it's there, sitting, waiting. A pressure surge from that cortisol spike, combined with stiff arteries and thick, viscous blood, can crack the surface of that vulnerable plaque. A cracked plaque triggers immediate clotting. A clot in a coronary artery is a heart attack. A clot that travels to the brain is a stroke. All of this is happening in your body right now, in your body every morning, and most people have absolutely no idea. And then they do the one thing that makes every single part of that equation worse. They sit straight up, they swing their legs over the side of the bed in one motion. They stand up immediately. That's the 25 to 30-second mistake, that one movement. That seems so ordinary, so mundane, so completely unremarkable that nobody has ever thought to question it. But here's what that movement does to your cardiovascular system at that exact moment. When you're lying flat, gravity isn't a factor. Blood is distributed throughout your body relatively evenly. Your heart pumps, everything flows. The instant you go vertical, especially if you do it fast, gravity pulls a massive volume of blood downward. Blood pools in your legs. Your brain gets less blood. Your blood pressure at your head drops, sometimes by 15, 20, even 30 points in just seconds. In a younger person, a reflex called the baroreceptor reflex fires instantly. Sensors detect the pressure drop. Your heart speeds up, your blood vessels constrict. Pressure is restored in seconds. But in adults over 60, that reflex is slower. The signaling takes longer. The vessels don't constrict as quickly. So before that compensation happens, your brain is experiencing a sudden drop in blood pressure. That gray, foggy, slightly dizzy feeling when you first get out of bed in the morning. Many people over 60 experience this every single day. They've just decided it's normal aging. It's not normal. It's called orthostatic hypotension, and it's a warning signal. It's your cardiovascular system struggling to manage that rapid postural change. Here's where it becomes truly dangerous. When your blood pressure drops suddenly after standing, your heart has to spike. It receives an emergency signal to increase its output aggressively to restore circulation to your brain. That compensatory spike layered on top of the cortisol surge, working against stiffer arteries, pushing thicker blood with elevated clotting factors, is exactly where vulnerable hearts break. The research is consistent across decades. Studies tracking the timing of acute cardiac events show a pronounced cluster between 6 and 10 in the morning. Not because morning is inherently dangerous, but because of this specific convergence of biological factors, all triggered and worsened by standing up too fast. I had a patient. I'll call him Marcus. He was 68 years old, a successful businessman, not someone who took his health casually. He wore a continuous glucose monitor. He logged his blood pressure twice a day. He'd been on a statin for years. His recent echocardiogram was reassuring. His stress test showed no significant problems. By every clinical measure, he was managing his risk well. One morning he woke up, silenced his phone alarm, and sat straight up. He was at the kitchen counter making coffee 3 minutes later. His wife heard something. When she found him, he was leaning against the counter, confused, sweating. The ambulance got him to the hospital in 12 minutes. He had experienced an acute coronary syndrome, a partial blockage caused by a ruptured plaque and a clot formed around it. He survived. But when we reviewed the morning timeline together, everything fit the pattern perfectly. The alarm, the fast sit-up, the immediate movement, stiff arteries, morning blood viscosity, the compensatory spike that cracked a plaque that had been sitting quietly for years without announcing itself. What haunted Marcus was that nothing about his clinical profile suggested morning was dangerous for him. His medications were right, his monitoring was thorough, his testing was appropriate. What was missing was the understanding that the transition from sleep to standing is its own cardiovascular event, that the way you manage those first 30 seconds matters independently of everything else you do for your heart. If this is the first time you're hearing that morning is when your heart is most at risk. If you've been ignoring that dizzy feeling, if you've just assumed it's part of getting older, hit like right now. Comment below with whether you feel dizzy when you first wake up. Let me know your experience. Subscribe if you want to actually understand your body instead of just hoping it keeps working. So here's what you do about it. This is going to sound almost too simple, almost too obvious, but the research backs it up completely. There's a 4-step morning protocol that takes 90 seconds to 2 minutes. No equipment, no supplements, no cost, nothing to buy. This is a sequence that works with your body's biology instead of fighting against it. Every single step addresses one of those 3 biological factors converging in that dangerous morning window. Step 1 is what I call the stillness breath. 15 seconds. The moment your alarm goes off, do not move. Stay flat. Don't reach for your phone. Don't stretch. Stay still. Your brain is about to receive its first cortisol and adrenaline wave. The single most effective thing you can do in the next 15 seconds is activate your parasympathetic nervous system before that wave peaks. Your parasympathetic nervous system is the calming branch. It's your body's natural brake. Take 4 slow breaths. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for 1. Exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. The longer exhale is not random. It directly stimulates your vagus nerve, which is the primary pathway your body uses to apply the brakes to stress. Research published in scientific reports found that deep, slow breathing with an extended exhale increased vagal tone in both younger and older adults. The benefit was significantly greater in the older group. Your body responds to this. 4 breaths, 15 seconds, and you're activating the calming part of your nervous system right when the cortisol wave is cresting, before it has a chance to drive your heart rate and blood pressure into a dangerous spike. Step 2 is the water. 20 seconds. Before you sit up, while you're still reclined, reach for a glass of water you placed on your nightstand the night before. Room temperature. Drink it while you're still lying down. This is important for a practical reason. Once you're standing, the cardiovascular cascade has already started. Drinking water before that transition gives your system a small but meaningful volume buffer. It thins the blood slightly. It begins restoring plasma volume. It reduces clotting factor concentration before your heart is asked to work against gravity. Tonight, before you sleep, fill a glass of water and put it on your nightstand. That one action done tonight changes tomorrow morning's entire cardiovascular RisK profile. Step 3 is the graduated transition. This takes 45 to 60 seconds, and this is the step that prevents the dangerous postural blood pressure drop. Don't sit straight up from flat. That creates an abrupt pressure change. Roll to your side first. From your side, push yourself to sitting using your arms. Let your feet hang over the edge of the bed. Sit there. While you're sitting, rotate your ankles slowly. 10 circles each direction. This sounds like nothing, but your calf muscles are the most powerful venous pump in your lower body. Rotating your ankles contracts those muscles and actively pushes blood back upward toward your heart. This rebuilds the circulation volume your brain is about to need when you stand. A study found that just 1 minute of ankle flexion exercises before standing reduced the blood pressure drop upon rising from a median of 17 millimeters of mercury down to just 1. That's almost eliminating the problem with 1 minute of movement. Sit on the edge of the bed for a full 30 seconds. Then stand slowly, pressing through your legs, not pulling up with your arms. Once you're upright, stand still for 10 seconds before you take your first step. That's it. Step 4 is optional but powerful. It's what I call the temperature check. As you're sitting on the edge of the bed, briefly pay attention to how you feel. Any chest heaviness that wasn't there yesterday, any unusual shortness of breath, any pain or pressure that radiates, any pounding heart sensation that feels different from your typical morning grogginess. Most mornings you'll notice nothing, and that reassuring baseline becomes important. But creating a habit of conscious self-check in this 2-minute window means that on the morning when something is different, you're already paying attention. You haven't rushed past the warning signal on your way to coffee. Let me be specific about one group because there's an additional layer. If you're taking a beta blocker for blood pressure or heart rhythm, you need to understand something. Beta blockers work by blunting your body's response to adrenaline. That's what makes them effective for heart rate and blood pressure control. But they also blunt your heart's ability to accelerate in response to the postural pressure drop when you stand. The compensatory spike that normally restores circulation when you go vertical gets slowed down by the medication. One study found that beta blocker use was associated with more than twice the odds of orthostatic hypotension and more than 3 times the odds of sustained orthostatic hypotension compared to untreated people. This doesn't mean stop taking them. Beta blockers save lives, and they're prescribed for important reasons. But if you're on a beta blocker, the graduated transition isn't optional, it's essential. Your heart's automatic compensatory response is being modulated by medication. You need to give your system even more time before you go fully upright. That's the entire protocol. 4 breaths, 1 glass of water, slow movement from flat to standing, 10 seconds of stillness before walking, 90 seconds total every morning. Let me tell you what changes when you do this consistently. Your morning blood pressure becomes more stable. That dizzy or foggy feeling that you might experience every morning, it goes away. Your cardiovascular system experiences less stress in the window when it's most vulnerable. You're not pouring gasoline on a fire by standing up too fast. You're giving your body time to manage the biological cascade naturally. You're reducing the demand on your heart at the exact moment when demand is highest and your system is least prepared to handle it. I want to be clear about what this isn't. This isn't a cure. This isn't a replacement for medication. This isn't going to lower your cholesterol or reverse arterial plaque or change your genetic risk. Your medications are important. Your annual checkups matter. Your diet and exercise are still essential. But this is the missing piece. This is the part that cardiologists know from research, but that almost never makes it into the 15-minute annual checkup. This is the management of a specific biological window that affects you every single day. The morning is not randomly dangerous. It's specifically dangerous for specific physiological reasons that compound on each other in a narrow window of time. A hormonal surge that stresses your arterial walls, a postural pressure drop that forces your heart to compensate aggressively, blood that's thicker, more viscous, more prone to clotting than at any other point in the day, and the habit that most people perform without a second thought. Standing up immediately takes all three of those factors and presses the accelerator. This protocol addresses all three. The breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system and reduces the cortisol spike impact. The water thins your blood and begins restoring plasma volume. The graduated transition gives your baroreceptor reflex time to work and prevents the compensatory pressure spike that stresses vulnerable hearts. Together, they transform your morning from a biological danger zone into a time your heart can actually manage. If this changes how you think about your morning, share it. Text it to someone you care about. Post it for the people over 60 in your life who don't know to search for this information. Subscribe because this is what this channel is about. Not just standard medical care, but the specific information that lives in research journals and cardiology conferences that should reach everyone who cares about their heart. Every week I bring you exactly this. The research-grounded details about your cardiovascular system after 60 that tend to disappear in standard clinical practice. Your heart has been working without rest, without complaint, without a single day off for every year of your life. It's been beating while you slept. It's been beating while you worked. It's been beating while you worried. It's been beating while you loved people and lived your life. Give it a better morning starting tomorrow. That's all this is. That's all it takes. 1 glass of water on the nightstand tonight, 4 breaths when your alarm goes off tomorrow, slow movement instead of fast. 90 seconds that could change everything. Your heart has earned at least that much.